everybody, and good morning. Welcome to the MLM Lunchtime Leadership Show. So we're going over the book by John Maxwell, Talent is Never Enough, and we are on chapter 4 today. But before we get into that, we're going to go ahead and invite some people onto here really quick. Hope everybody had a good weekend.
Can't believe it's already.
Already October, and the rest of the year is going to fly by. Alright, so we are going to get started on chapter 4. So focus directs your talent. If you want to be successful, you must focus on what you can do, not what you can't do. So some facts you need to know when it comes to focus. Number one, focus does not come naturally to most people. This is harder now more than ever due to technology because we have so many different distractions now. All the notifications popping up on our phone, different things that we want to go do, and people will always go do what's fun over what they need to go do. People will constantly avoid responsibility rather than doing what they should be doing.
What's up, Dave?
Hello, hello. Number 2, focus increases your energy. So the first thing you need to do is understand what your target is. Without a target, you will be doing a lot of busy work, but you're not going to be getting anywhere. And unfortunately, it's going to suck the energy out of you, and any momentum you did have going for you, you're going to eventually lose. So focus gives you energy, and the mind doesn't reach towards achievement until it has clear objectives. So setting that target, you then have that clear vision of like where you need to be going. Excuse me. Number 3, focus lifts you. So focus always has an impact, but just by striving to become better than you are, you become elevated even if you don't accomplish what you desire. You can't shoot for the stars and remain unaffected by your efforts. Hold on. There we go. Okay. Number 4, focus expands your life. So you have to notice that if you consider buying a particular car, you begin to notice them everywhere. So by narrowing your view widens your perspective. So if you want to expand your capacity, then you need to be able to focus on what you're doing. Number 5, focus must be intentionally sustained. So people do not naturally remain focused. Hall of Fame baseball player Hank Aaron said, I think what separates the superstar from the average ball player is that he concentrates just a little bit longer than everybody else. So success is the progressive realization of predetermined worthwhile goal. So success is not an event, it's a progress. And anytime you engage in a process that takes time, focus is essential, and only people capable of remaining focused can expect their direct talent and achieve a level of success. If you can't sit down and focus long enough, you're not going to get anywhere. A great way to practice focusing is by reading books, because you have to sit and you have to pay attention. Some people really like audiobooks. They're like, oh yeah, but these are so much easier. But if you can sit down and actually read 10 pages a day, That's going to help you focus because you have to actually sit and pay attention and absorb the information that's in front of you. So reading is actually a really good way to practice this if you're not good at it. And writing down your goals. Write down your goals and figure out exactly what it is that you need to be doing. So how to make focus your friend. So number one, be intentional. Make every action count. So you have to figure out where you want to go and how you're going to get there. So people who are undecided about what they want to go do and where they want to go will usually end up just running circles and eventually get angry or exhaust themselves. These are the people who don't follow directions. They never set any goals. They don't attend anything. But then 3 months later, they're like, this isn't working. And I'm like, well, yeah, it's not working. You're not doing what you're supposed to be doing. You need to be attending the event so that way you understand the basics of how you need to get this started. And then you need to set the goal of what do you want to get to, and then we'll show you the steps that you have to take. But until you do that, you're just going to run circles around yourself until you get tired or angry. So once you know what you want, it's going to be a lot easier to do the actions necessary for you to achieve that goal. But first you have to figure out what is it. Number two, challenge your excuses. So we all have reasons of why we can't be doing this. And excuses are really not, you think they're good excuses, but they're really not. Because you hear them and you think it justifies your actions for not doing it. But really, they're really bad excuses. So a couple of them that John listed off is, I'm busy, I don't have enough time, I have kids, I have work, the holidays are coming up. And really, all these things are just going to set you off track, and really there is no excuse, because if anything else major happened, you would make time for it. It just depends. Is this something that's important to you? Because something that's important to you, you're going to make time for, and there are no excuses. So really the only thing I can say about that is you need to ditch the excuse. Suck it up. Just go do it. That's it. Hi, David. How are you? Number three, don't let yesterday hijack your attention. So don't let yesterday take up too much of what's going on today. Because too many people yearn for the past and get stuck in it. Instead, they should be learning from the past and then let go of it. So editor and publisher Albert Hubbard, I think so. I might be pronouncing that wrong, but that's okay. So something that he wrote, a retentive memory may be a good thing, but the ability to forget is the true token of greatness. Successful people forget. They know the past is unchangeable, and they're running the race. They can't afford to look behind. Their eye is always on the finish line. Magnanimous people forget. They're too big to let little things disturb them, and they forget easily. If anyone does them wrong, they consider it they consider the source and keep cool. Only small people who cherish revenge and be good. Sorry, how did I write this? Anyway, only small people cherish revenge. Be a good forgetter. Business dedicates it, and success demands it. So don't hold on to a bunch of little things. Small people hold on to little stuff. You could judge the size of the man by the size of the things that he gets mad at. That's true for women too. But by holding on to everything, you're not going to be able to go forward. And it's going to make it really hard to deal with people. And when you're busy, and I find that when you're busy, you tend to let go of things a lot more. People with too much time on their hands tend to get angry at a lot of little stuff. So if you don't want to be angry all the time, you got to be more busy. Number 4, focus on the present. So what John does, he reads daily to grow himself personally. He listens daily to broaden his perspective, thinking daily to apply what he's learned, and write daily so he can remember what he learned. So you can't change yesterday, you can't count on tomorrow, but you can choose what you do today. And something that I added to this, since we are talking about network marketing, is presenting daily. Depending on which company you're in, your goals are going to be different, a little different, and determine how many people you need to present to. So by figuring out what's your target, like which level do you want to be at, depending on which level you want to be at in which company and how your comp plan works, you got to figure out what is the target, how many people is it going to take to get to that target, and then you have to narrow down, okay, can this be accomplished in 3 months? Is this something that needs to be accomplished in 6 months? You got to figure that out, and everybody's time is different too. We always recommend to people that we do this part-time. MLM is never the full-time thing. So people usually go to work, they do their normal job, and then they do this part-time. So whether that means if you're doing a couple calls during your lunch break, or if you're doing them on the weekend or in the evening, it's really up to you. But you got to break down, okay, this is how many presentations I got to get every single day, and that is the number to be able to achieve this goal. But you have to figure out where you're going first, and then make sure you know what is the daily activity. Because again, you can get yourself caught up in a lot of busy work that's not getting you anywhere. So you have to make sure that all the activities that you're doing is actually productive and actually going to get you somewhere. Number 5, stay focused on results. So anytime you concentrate on the difficulty of the work at hand instead of the results or the rewards, you're likely to become discouraged. So dwell on the difficulties too much, and you're going to start to develop self-pity instead of self-discipline, and your attention will become scattered instead of focused. So as a result, you may end up accomplishing less and less. Excuse me. So by focusing on the results, it becomes a lot easier, and you tend to stay a lot more positive, because let's be honest, nobody likes to do a lot of work. If we had the choice of, if we made the money anyway, we would never go to work. So just focusing on the result of like, okay, this is what, when I accomplish this is what's going to happen. And that a lot of times helps people get through that wall that they keep putting up when they start doubting themselves. Another thing that you got to look out for is negative people. Negative people will come in when you first start building. And anytime you start to grow in any industry too, it's not just MLM. Anytime you start growing in anything, there's always going to be those people that are going to come in and be like, oh, but you can't do that. Nobody's made money in those things. I know you're not gonna do it, and you gotta be able to avoid those people. But the great thing about being focused is once you have that focus, nobody can deter you from it, because while you're doing the activity necessary to reach that goal, no matter what anybody says, that it's gonna fly right by you. You're gonna be like, eh. Because you can see it working, and the people are getting in, because people can see from the outside, looking from the outside, don't know what's going on in the beginning. And depending on how long you've been doing it, if you're just getting started, people aren't going to really notice something's really going on until like 3 months, 6 months later, because then they see the energy and they see all the things going on around you. And then they're like, what the heck is going on with David? Like, what is he up to? Because your energy is different too, and people can pick up on that. Number 6, develop and follow your priorities. So if you chase 2 rabbits, you're going to lose both of them. So part of the problem with most people is there's too many choices for a lot of us now, and too many different ways to do things. But when you are building a business, you really need to focus on one thing, and you need to focus on that one thing consistently. And that is presenting. So you have to be more selective with the things that are taking up your time. So recently I had a few people message me about doing some things. I had one person who was asking me to do some voice acting for a commercial, and then I had another person who was asking me to do a health seminar. They were about to go do a health seminar, and they needed some speakers. And I was talking with them, and I was like, okay. And I'm like, yeah, I could do it. I would like to do it. It would be fun, but now is not the time for that. And I had to tell them, I'm like, look guys, I'm sorry, but right now is just not a good time. Right now I'm focused on expanding my company, and I'm trying to find more people. I just can't give this the time that it deserves right now, because it's not something that is a priority to me right at this moment. So whenever you're setting your priorities, really your priorities are choices. You make the choice of whether or not you're going to do the things necessary to achieve your goal, or you're going to set yourself back. So it's hard sometimes, because it's always, you got to choose between stuff that you like to do and stuff that you have to do. So, but in the end, it becomes so worth it, because the more times you set the wrong or you put the things that aren't absolutely necessary as priorities, the longer it's going to take you, and it's going to become more frustrating. Sometimes it takes sacrifices when you're trying to get something done and get something done quickly. You don't go out all the time. You don't like, if you, what would be a good example? Like sometimes it's just different activities that you like to do. Like say you like soccer. Sometimes it might cut into some of your soccer games of you going and hanging out with friends. Although right now we can't really do that. So, but that's an example. Sometimes you have to give up things when you're trying to run for something to make sure that you get there. But just keeping all that extra finicky stuff that does not need to take up your time during the day. I have a rule, like if it's anything extra that has nothing to do with the business stuff is always handled from 12 o'clock until 9 p.m. at night. If there's anything extra that I want to go do, it has to be after 9 o'clock. And that's after business hours, and that's when I have freer time. So whenever I'm doing something, and that's part of what I have to ask, I'm like, okay, is this something that could be done after 9 o'clock when I'm not making calls and I'm not sitting down and doing other stuff? So that's a question to ask. 7, focus on your strengths, not your weaknesses. So focusing on your weaknesses instead of your strengths is like having a handful of coins. A few are made of pure gold and the rest are made of copper. And by setting aside the gold coins and spending time cleaning and shining the copper ones in hopes of making them look more valuable, no matter how long you spend on them, they're never going to be worth more than the gold ones. And unfortunately, a lot of us do that. Like a lot of people are like, oh, but you have to be good at everything. And it's like, okay, you have to learn and understand how everything works. You have to at least try things, because leadership can be taught and the skills can be learned, but there are certain things that some people are better than others. So once you've tried all of it, focus on what your strength is and just keep working on that. Because the great thing about building a team is you can also go recruit people who are your weaknesses, and that helps. So a lot of times when we're sitting with the team, I know certain people will get along better with a different person on the team. And I'm like, you know what? You're working with me. However, I do need to introduce you to this person, because I know you two will click and it will work out well. And there are just other people that do better for different stuff. So when we start doing events again, we're going to have different responsibilities for each person. We're going to have somebody for the front door person. We want somebody who's friendly, who's fun, very outgoing. We want that person to be the first person that people meet when they come in the door. We'll have other people who are more organized and who can handle like the setup part and be on time, and we want different people for that. So you want to focus on the strengths, not so much the weaknesses. There's always room for improvement, but you want to, it's like 80-20. 80% of the time you want to focus on your strengths. 20% of the time you want to focus on your weaknesses, because you can improve. It just doesn't need all of your time. And number 8, delay rewards until the job is done. I don't think I really need to go into that. It's very self-explanatory. We've heard all this before, and I don't think it really needs to be explained more than that. So with that, that's what we have for today. Jeff, do you have anything that you got out of this chapter, or did I get it?
Not at all.
Go. All right. Well, tomorrow is chapter 5, and if you guys... let me know what you guys are getting out of these chapters too. What was your biggest takeaway from today? Because I know we've gone over quite a few books at this point, but it kind of helps us figure out what you guys are getting out of these books. And I lost my train of thought. I need to finish my coffee. Well, let me know what you guys got out of today, and we will see you guys tomorrow for chapter 5.